Hello class, today we are taking a look at some practice with combined percents. The main topics in this section are our percent change, our final price, and percents of percents. First thing we need to be able to do is convert between a percent change and a percent of. The main idea to understand for this is that we always start at 100%, and if we are increasing from 100%, we'll add the change, and if we're decreasing, then we'll just subtract. And that's the main thing to know for our converting between a percent change from a number to a percent of a number. So if we have a 15% increase from 20, then this is going to be starting at 100 and increasing or adding 15, and we'll get 115% of 20. If we have a 60% decrease from 20, we'll again start at 100%. We're going to decrease or subtract 60%, and we'll end up with 40% of 20. Likewise, with an 89% decrease, we're going to start at 100, we're going to subtract our 89 for our decrease, and we'd be left with 11% of 20. Question D requires us to kind of work backwards. So in question D, we'd have to think about, okay, if we started at 100 and we did something to it and we got 125, what was the something? And hopefully you can see that you'd have to add 25% to 100 to get 125%. So in this case, we're going to have a 25% change, and since we were adding, that would be an increase from 20. Next thing we can do is we can find the percent change. There is a memorized formula for percent change, which is that we're going to take our end number, we're going to subtract our start number, divide by the start number, and then times by 100 to convert to percent. So in the case of 40 to 100, our start is 40, our end number is 100, and we'll substitute these into that formula for percent change. We're going to do end of 100, subtract our start of 40, divide by our start of 40, and then times that by 100. So when we do that calculation, 100 take away 40 on top is 60. 60 out of 40 would simplify down to 3 halves, which is 1.5 as a decimal, and 1.5 times 100 is 150%. Since that's positive, it's going to be a 150% increase. If we start at 600 and we go down to 45 as our end number, we can apply that same formula to find our percent change. We're going to use our end number, subtract our start number of 600, divide by our start number of 600, and then multiply by 100. Now, if you do 45 subtract 600, you're obviously going to get a negative number, negative 555 to be precise. And all that negative means is that this is a decrease. We're obviously going down from 600 to 45. And so we're going to do that division on our calculators. 555 divided by 600 gives us a decimal 0.925. And multiplying that by 100 is negative 92.5. So we'd say this is a 92.5% decrease. Notice you can either have the negative as the change or the word decrease, but you don't want to have both at the same time. Okay, similar in the next questions. Again, we've got our start, and our end, and end, and we can fill those into our formula for percent change. It's going to be our end number, 20,000, take away our start number, 7,000, divide by our start, and then times 100. When we do this, 20,000 take away 7,000 will give us 13,000 out of 7,000. When we divide that fraction on our calculator, we get a repeating decimal, and then we multiply that repeating decimal by 100, and we get 185.714 ... that decimal does go on for a while. Now we're instructed here to round to the nearest hundredth if needed. So for our answer, we'll round our 4. Our 4 does not round the 1 up. So let's say this is a 185.71% increase. Similarly, we'll plug our numbers into our formula for percent change, and minus start over start times 100. 17 take away 3 is 14. This is going to be, again, a repeating decimal, 4.666, so on and so forth. And so this is a 466.67% increase after multiplying by 100. Question 3 is very similar to question 2. Again, it's calculating your percent change, so you're going to use your formula. We want to identify our end and our start numbers. So our start number is going to be the earlier year of 2013. Our end is going to be our later year of 2023. And we'll do our end, 830, minus our start over start times 100. So 830 take away 650 gives us 180. Dividing that fraction on our calculators gives us the decimal 0.276923, ... Multiplying by 100 gives us 27.692. And we're asked to round to the nearest hundredth. So we'll say there was a 27.69% increase in Riverbend's population. Next thing we get onto is using percent change in the context of our final price, our GST, our discount calculation. And we talked in class about how we can kind of memorize this formula, that our final price of a product will be equal to 105% of some discount percent of the regular price. So our 105% comes from 100% plus the 5% tax. Tax makes the price go up, so it's a percent increase. And then for our discounted percent, this is always going to be 100% of the regular price, subtract the discount, and whatever we're left with will be our percent of the regular price. We're subtracting here because this discount makes the price decrease or go down. So in our particular case, let's fill in our information. We don't know the final price. We're asked how much will you have to pay. 105% is pretty much always the same in Canada. For our discounted percent, we were 30% off, so we're saving 30% or subtracting 30% from 100%, and that leaves us with 70% of the regular price. And in this case, we can actually fill in that regular price. The regular price is $75. Okay. Calculating this, our question mark is isolated. We're going to convert those percents to decimals. So 105% is 105 out of 100, which is 1.05 as a decimal. 70% is 70 out of 100, which is 0.7 as a decimal. And then our last of and 75 is just a number. So multiply those three things together on your calculator. 1.5 times 0.7 times 75. We get 55.125. Now money only ever has 2 decimal places, so we are going to round. Our 5 is bigger than or equal to 5, so round the 2 up to 3. And we'll say you need to pay $55.13. On the back side, we engage in further similar questions. So we're going to use our same setup for final price being equal to 105% of our discounted percent. We have a 30% discount here. So again, 100 take away 30 gives us 70% of the regular price. P for price. In this case, they tell us how much we paid. So this is actually the final price, the amount that we did pay to take the product out of the store. So we have to put our $42.50 in the final price spot of our equation. While I'm here, I'm going to convert these to decimals and my ofs to multiply. And they're asking me what is the regular price. So that is my unknown. So this is a question where when I look, my unknown is not by itself on its side of the equation. My unknown is being multiplied by 0.7 and multiplied by 1.05. I need to undo those things to be able to isolate my unknown. So I asked myself, what is the opposite of multiplying the question mark by 0.7? Well, that would be dividing. And remember, when we're solving, what we do to one side, we need to do to the other as well. And then while we're here, let's ask ourselves, what's the opposite of multiplying by 1.05? And that would be dividing by 1.05. And we do that to both sides as well again. The only thing I have left on the right side is my question mark. And on the left side, I have a calculation to do. 42.5 divided by 0.7, then divided by 1.05. If you type that into your calculator correctly, you should get 57.823. And we can say the regular price is $57.82. Do note in this question that if you wanted to, you could multiply 1.05 times 0.7, get your 0.735, and then divide both sides by 0.735 if you wanted to, if you're more comfortable with that. In question 6, we have a scooter that is currently on sale for 25% off. If we paid $80 for the scooter after the discount, we want to know how much did you save. So this is similar to question 5. We're going to start by saying our final price is 105% of our 75%. 75% comes from 100, take away the 25% discount of the regular price. Again, they're telling us how much we actually paid. So this is going to be our final price. Again, I'm going to convert my percents to decimals. And I don't know what the regular price is, so that is my unknown in this situation. Let's use that other solving method here that we talked about in the last question. I'm going to multiply my 1.05 times 0.75 first, and that gives me the answer 0.7875. And now I'll go ahead and solve. So I want to ask myself, what is the opposite of multiplying my question mark by 0.7875? Well, the opposite is dividing by 0.7875. So I'll do that to both sides. I only have my question mark remaining on the right side. And then 80 divided by that 0.7875 is 101.59 after rounding. Now I want to be sure to answer the question. The amount I saved is going to be my regular price minus the amount I actually paid. So my regular price would be 101.59, what I just calculated. I actually paid 80. So the amount that I saved, 101.59 minus 80, gives me $21.59 saved. So again, just make sure you're reading that question carefully. You're making sure you answer the question. It didn't ask us for the regular price, it asked us how much we saved. Okay. Now you could make an argument here maybe that we should consider the tax that would have been on the $101 and we didn't save that part. if you communicated that on a test, I think that would be a fair enough argument to make. Either way for that question. Okay. Question 7, an ant colony has 10,000 ants living inside of it. A huge flood causes the colony's population to reduce to 6,500 ants. Again, we're asked what was the percent change. So since we're calculating percent change, we'll use our formula. We want our end minus start over start and then times 100. So let's think about what our end number is and our start number is. We're starting with 10,000. Then after the flood is over. At the end of the flood, we have 6,500. So let's go ahead and plug those into our formula. End number is 6,500. Take away start number of 10,000. Divide by start number of 10,000. And then times 100 from the formula. When we do this calculation, we get negative 3,500 on top out of 10,000. Again, remember that negative is just telling us that we're decreasing, which is what we expect. The population went down. So when we do our calculation here, we're going to have our 3,500 divided by 10,000, which gives us 0.35 times 100. So this is negative 35%. And we could say this is a 35% decrease as our answer. Again, you can either say the change was negative 35%, or you can say 35% decrease. Don't say negative and decrease at the same time, because that's sort of like a double negative. Those two ideas cancel each other out. Okay, question